My name is Alex. I work at N26, one of the leading fintech players around the world, and I'm Chief Growth Officer there. Have been there since the very early days, over 6 years by now, and super excited to be speaking today at Take the Lead. I think leadership really is a philosophy of how you think about life, and it's really coming down to having an inspiring vision for the future on any subject, as small as it may be, on a future that is better than what there is today. And so I really believe that leadership is about taking full responsibility for your outcomes on the path of building that better future. Recognizing that sometimes you cannot change the circumstances, but you can always change yourself. And so that really for me is the essence of leadership, and therefore is not at all linked to any credentials, but it's really more of a personal philosophy, I would say. That is a fantastic question. I thought a lot about it in the past already, and I would say that recognizing that leadership is, on the one hand, your biggest responsibility, while also representing the biggest opportunity that you have as a founder, as a leader, that really is the advice. So I observe many founders or just individuals who consider leadership a soft topic on the side that usually there is no time for. But what differentiates the good from the great, I believe, is that clear understanding that leadership is a responsibility. Leadership is a skill more important than anything else, especially as a founder of an organization. And so doing everything you can to accelerate your learning in that regard, and every day work on being a better leader than you were yesterday, would be the key advice to anyone who aspires to grow within a fast-paced organization, or who even wants to become a founder themselves. Yeah, well, quick wins is always a sensitive way of saying things, because I generally don't believe necessarily in shortcuts. But in terms of key behaviors, I think that have helped me a lot in the last years, and in particular recently, are just this huge sense of reliability. So when you come into a new team, or when you hire people, be very considerate of what commitments you can make, and then just be extremely sure to keep them, because that will over time build up a certain level of trust, a certain level of also reliability that your team will develop towards you as a leader. And that then also is the starting point to also expect a similar level of commitment from your team. And by just establishing these bonds, I think I have built very strong relationships and very, very good kind of teams in the past. So you as a leader setting the standard for reliability is one thing. The second thing I think is this element of just always be learning, and also demonstrate there that you are trying to become a better leader every day, and therefore sort of be a role model for your team as well to improve in whatever their field is. If you're also leading leaders, it can be also the best practices in terms of leadership. And so, yeah, I think, those are two essential elements. The third one, potentially just briefly to mention as well, is know what it takes for you to show up as the best version that you can be, and work consistently, and don't compromise on whatever those things are for you personally, that help you to show up in the best possible way, to be your best self, and just really bring that also to work, kind of, again, consistently and reliably, is also, I think, something that's very important. When I think about my personal development or my learning journey, one hugely important consideration there is that you always have to find the best materials, because you have limited time. So, if you waste your time with advice that's mediocre, or on advice from someone who's maybe a mediocre leader, then you're sort of wasting your time. So one principle for me is always to go to the top. If you want to learn about leadership, I don't know, read a biography of someone who you find being the most important leader. Also, that represents your leadership style. So leadership is also very obviously tailored to your individual preferences, and identify a leader that you can look up to, that leads in a style that's compatible with your personality. And so that's just one thing, is always finding mentors. But the other thing is also reading books, doing different things, connecting with people, but sort of always have that quality filter there, and ask yourself, is that the best advice you can actually get? Will help accelerate your learning journey. Wow, what a question. So I think in general, one thing that stuck to me, that I heard very early on in my life, was, if you do what most people do, you'll end up having what most people have. And so you need to do something different if you want to get something different out of life. That was something that shaped me very early on. And one thing that I observe a lot with what a lot of people, most people have, is their philosophy is being what I call patiently impatient. And I want to explain that basically means people are patient in terms of setting important goals and starting important projects. They wait for the new year to come to set goals, and once the new year comes, they're then impatient in following through. After 3 weeks they don't see the results and they quit. And I think this comes also back to philosophy. Personal philosophy is don't be patiently impatient, but be impatiently patient. That means take action today, set your goals today, and then recognize that you need to be patient, and it will take some time to reach your goals and to succeed. I think Malcolm Gladwell talks about the 10,000 hours it takes to master a subject, and therefore you have to recognize that it will take time, you will face setbacks, but that if you're impatiently patient, you won't be thrown off by that, and ultimately move closer to your goal.